on the iCloud. I want to do that. And then I also need to live on Facebook. So let's go live on Facebook because just through our conversations, we've already started.
Where's that? Don't forget to mute your mic if you have background noise.
And if somebody is able to look on Team Transformers and tell me if we are going live, that would be awesome. It's going to take a second. All right, let's see. Go live. Go live anyway. This is a process.
It says it's streaming on Facebook. Let me.
It's redirecting.
We are live.
Cool. Woohoo! All right. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. This is a good. So this is selfishly a good learning lesson for me. I don't care about the rest of you. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so we've already kind of jumped into it. I want to come back to Zoom. I do want to come back to Zoom because one of the things, it's after 12, right? 12:03. I know Doug usually does music. I am not that technologically advanced. We've already kind of gotten started. One of the things I want to talk about, because I know social media is going to take up most of this. I mean, we've been already talking about it for 10 minutes. And we could probably go all afternoon. But one of the things I want to talk about is, I don't know if you guys on the Wednesday Lunch and Learns, right? We, at 12:30, we go over to the Wellness Wednesday, Rachel Brewer's event. I know, Jim, you have your event, you can't do that. But every Wednesday, they pick a different topic. They've done the boards, they've done, the salad in a jar, they've done the different, complete things. They do all kinds of different ideas. So I would love to know if you guys, I would love to give us more ideas as a community as to different virtual events that we could be doing. Because as most of you know, we now have the Healthy Starts at Home group, and Michelle and Sandy and Jules and I and a few other people are going to be, and Lonnie are going to be doing a back to school series for 3 weeks. But then after that, we want to be able to do other things as well to kind of make it, healthiest starting at home is the idea. So it's not going to be just back to school, that group. It's going to be just basic health and wellness for everybody. So I would love to come up with other ideas. I mean, we can obviously steal some of Rachel Brewer's ideas, but I was wondering if you guys, some of you guys are going to be way more creative than I am on, ideas that maybe you've had, ideas that maybe you want to kind of run with, and we can do in that group, because it doesn't have to be Michelle and I and Sandy the whole, every time. Anybody can kind of come up with an idea and run with an event. So does anybody have any good ideas for other virtual events, since we're all still kind of in a mini lockdown?
Hey, Karen, I know that an event that has been really successful with my team has been anything with cooking demos. People love to see that, especially when it's like tower to table, or like taking it from the tower and using it in a recipe. Mm-hmm. Those type of events have gone really well, and people really enjoy learning new ways.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
To piggyback off of that, Michelle, I was thinking the same thing, like something incorporating the Tower Garden with back to school, like the curriculum, like tying that into that, that kind of event as well, or maybe making it separate. I have all these ideas, but I'm about to have my baby. But
so give them to us.
What, Karen?
I said, so give them to us, and right, we'll try and do them, and then you can just sit while you're feeding the baby, and then just invite people.
I know, it's so hard for me. So it's I want to do all the things, but yeah, it's definitely a cooking demo, and then tying in, I think the curriculum for homeschool, or using the tower for homeschool, things like that. I know my team member Tayden's on today. Hey, Tayden, he's a tower gardener, with children at home. So that's just something that comes to my mind as well.
Karen, what you can add also is a salad demo, just picking a salad from the Tower Garden, because people are amazed at that lettuce that you bring off to your table. And I get so much comments when I'm doing that.
So I seem to be getting a lot of tower ideas. That's awesome. Obviously, we're missing the boat, not doing enough Tower Garden Zooms.
Did you put down the one about cooking that Michelle mentioned?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I like the cooking idea too. I know we did a Facebook group in May that I liked, and like Bridget kind of just filtered some stuff in as we did some recipes. But I know now with school starting and even through the year, I'm planning, like I do fix and freeze. So I'll make a bunch of meals and then just freeze them.
Okay.
So I have them ready to go. And it's cool when you can make one for today and then freeze one.
I love that, fix and freeze. Okay.
Yeah.
We did that at your house, Karen. Remember when we prepped all those different meals at your home?
That was a little bit of a nightmare, but it was awesome. Yeah. I think doing it as Zoom is going to actually be a little easier. And how fun would it be if we had 4 or 5 people that did just one recipe? I did actually, what was it, a crock pot meal prep. So it was great. Everybody brought ingredients and then you could take it home and put it in the freezer and then take it out when you needed it. The only thing I didn't really foresee, which I should have, was that, you know, because this was live, right? It was a few years ago, is certain people didn't show up. And then all of a sudden you were like, oh my gosh, the lentil sloppy joes, the quinoa isn't here. So, okay, now you have to go home and add quinoa. So that was a little, it was okay. It was still good, but. So I love that one. That's good.
You know, we could do the same kind of a thing with the smoothie, you know, the pre-made smoothie bags.
Smoothie prep.
Yep, smoothie prep, you know, make your bags. You know, pick your stuff from the tower too. Put it in your bag.
Because I do have people, I don't know if you guys have people, some people don't want to order the complete because they're like, oh, I don't have time for that in the morning. And I'm like, really? You don't have time to make a shake in the morning?
Really?
But maybe if they could dump it out of a Ziploc bag and then just, you know, start it, that would be easier for some. These are good ideas.
So I want to see, has anyone been using the rooms on Facebook? Because yesterday I just said, let me try this and let me say that I'm in here hanging out and see who joins me. I'm wondering, so then one of my team members got on and we were talking about maybe like having like a sip and chat on a Friday night and just starting a room and come in, and if there's a bunch of us in there, we can direct the conversation. So I don't know if anyone's thought of that.
Yeah, I haven't used them specifically for, I mean, I've done a couple of them. I mean, you can have up to 50 people. It's a way to compete with Zoom, and it's easy to do because you're, you know, involved with your Facebook community. And it works. And, you know, I think even in our group, they could start a room if they wanted to. But it's even a great way on your personal, you can just invite friends to maybe like, hey, let's join my room, and you could even, I think, put a title of what you're going to be talking about. But I think that's a good idea. Anytime you can have, you know, visual engagement is obviously better than texting or messaging.
We were already segueing into like, here we go into social media. So in the room, I know that we tried that one time on Lunch and Learn. I know a few of you with Doug. I think it was Doug that started the room and we were trying to experiment. But if Michelle starts it and I go into her room, that's not showing up on my page, or it is.
No, it's her private room. But they have started to allow messenger rooms in groups. So it is, but you have that limit. So it kind of goes back to, it's not like you're live streaming the messenger room to the group, and it's kind of like the first, I think first 50 to get in, you know. So I mean, you can have maybe it's a little bit of a fear of missing out, but it is a good way to have like a group, you know, visual chat, and you can do it from your phone or your desktop. So the phone makes it a little bit more fun, I guess, because you can do filters and other things. I don't know if that's all been added into the desktop version yet, but you can do it from either.
Okay.
That's not a bad thing.
I know Rachel Brewer, how do you guys feel? Sharon and I were kind of brainstorming a little bit. We were talking about some of the great ideas, and we thought, I have a lot of people who go, who say, you know, that sounds great, but I can't do noon. What if we did Rachel Brewer's, you know, stuff, but we did them in the evening for people? I don't know whether that's attractive to you guys, or I know, Michelle, you just mentioned sip and chat. Maybe, I know Rachel Brewer is going to be doing like a potluck, which I thought was a cute idea, right? Everybody bring their dish and then they're going to share it. And then also even just doing a happy hour. I don't know if we, you know, making that kind of fun.
Well, part of too, you know, segueing a little bit into social media is experimenting, right? Not everybody, just like with my live show at 12 o'clock on Wednesdays, not everybody can make it, but I get a lot of replay viewers. So that's where the advantage of these Zooms being, multicasted on the Facebook, people that missed it can watch if they feel like the information is worthwhile. So if you're trying to do something live that you're not necessarily looking for shelf life, then doing a messenger room is great. Like, okay, let's see who's available at 6. And maybe you get people that say, oh yeah, that'll work for me, that sort of thing. And, so you can, I would experiment with different times because it's not always going to work for everyone. You might find different groups that it works better. So that's something that I think is definitely worth, we call it A/B testing, just because and everybody too, right? With these Zooms, the lunch and learns always being Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12 o'clock. Well, maybe 12 o'clock doesn't work with everyone. Just like lately, I know Doug with the what's the term? The blitz.
Oh, the blitz, yeah.
8 o'clock in the morning may not work for people, but maybe somebody could do a blitz at 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So I don't think it's a bad thing to look at different times. But the biggest thing is if you can let people know in advance and people can start to time block. And that's, that would be another thing I would tell you about social media. And just so people know a little bit of my background, I'm a digital marketing consultant. I'm a live streamer. I'm a podcaster. I am a remote live stream producer. I've been teaching at 3 community colleges in North Carolina now virtually since 2016. And so I've been a part of the social media marketing world volunteer staff. And so I'm constantly learning about the changes in social. And so I think part of the challenge that we all have is we're, especially now because everybody is, challenged with like, oh, how do I get my message out? One of the things I would start out with is you need to think about what you're posting from a strategic standpoint. And there's what I call there's 4 E's of social media that you should think about with every post that you do. And I'm going to add a C to that at the end because this is where people somewhat fall short. So first of all, is your post educating people? That's the first D. And I think with Juice Plus, there's a great opportunity to educate people about different health things. Is it entertaining, right? People want to have stuff that's fun. So that's where video can really kind of up that, whether it's a live video or, recorded video. And I think that's where obviously TikTok and Reels and some of these things are catching people's imaginations for those of you that are actually, good at that stuff. I don't necessarily say that I am. Then the other thing is it empowering people, right? Juice Plus is another great way to empower people with health. So how is what you're putting in that post, especially if it's on Facebook, empowering people? And then finally, are you engaging with people? When people comment, whether it's on the live video or whether it's something that you posted, if they, are you engaging with them when they make a comment? Are you writing back, hey, Karen, that's a really great point. Would you like to learn more? Or, private message them, hey, if you saw someone like your post and you're friends with them, maybe message them privately and say, hey, I saw you like my post. What did you like about it? And get some feedback, because you may not realize it, but probably 90% of the audience that's you're connected with, or in public post, it's bigger than your network, are what we call lurkers. They're never going to say anything. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, that's what I've had happen with my live video stuff. I love the videos you're doing, your lives on LinkedIn. I was like, what? You've never once reacted, commented, anything else. So they're always watching you. So, and from that perspective, I would tell you from if you want to call it your social media in general, because of that, be very aware of what you're putting out there as your brand, because you will not find, I think you'd have to look very hard. I'll say maybe 8 years ago, be different. I do not post anything about politics or religion, period. I see people do it all the time. I may read it, but that's where I'm the lurker. I've learned a lot as I'm sure you all have over these last several months, about people as things have changed. And it's been very disappointing in some cases, but you're putting yourself out there on social, so you need to be careful about that. But with these 4 E's, there's one thing where people, I like to say, sometimes fall short, and that's what I call the call to action. So you've educated me, you've engaged with me, you've empowered me, or you've entertained me, but what do you want me to do? We all want to be told what to do. So even like yesterday, I did a post for the shred in September, and I talked about how it had helped me and my wife, and I talked about how Karen had introduced us to this. I said, if you want to join us, message me, right? I got someone messaged me, and now I, haven't quite got him into the shred, but I've got him into the One Simple Change group. And so that's because I told him what to do. If I had stopped and not said what to do, that, it's kind of like, oh, that's great. Thanks, Jim. Good information. So we need to have a call to action as to what we want people to do, no matter what the platform is, because we all want to be, tell me what you want me to do. The other thing to think about, whenever you start a post, don't talk about you, talk about them. Are you struggling with how you feel on a daily basis, right? You start to get them to do that head shake of yes. It's almost like a sales lead thing, right? Talk about them, don't talk about you. If you start talking about you, we call it broadcasting, it's a turnoff, right? Because who's the most important person in the room? It's not me, it's you.
Okay, so I love that. I'm going to cut you off because I know Sandy wants to share her screen. So now I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to be the one putting you on the spot. I thought it was going to be other people, but now it's me. So I want you to look, because one of the first things I want to talk about, and I don't know how many new people we have on today, but one of the first things I think is a struggle is you join and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do for my first post? And I have had team members that get on there and they're super excited and they post before they talk to me, or, I've talked to them and and they're like, oh my gosh, we've just got to start with Juice Plus. If you want to sign up, here's my website. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, don't put your website and don't do this, is too salesy. So Sandy, I want you to share some of the first posts. Thank you. Like the ideas. Okay. Cause we want to create curiosity is the idea. So I would love for you to look at them. And because these are posts that we think are good, maybe you could even say, okay, this is good, but it could be better if. Okay. So now I feel like I'm on a game show.
Sure.
Okay, let's see if you could see my screen. Tell me yes or no. In 3, 2, 1. Can you see?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Oh, these things are always typed on my iPad. Stop and start. Screen. Oh, it's saying screen recording. That's what I want to do. I want to share content. Right? Well, maybe I can't do it.
You should be able to.
Yeah, I'm saying screen. When I say screen share, it says screen recording, which is strange. Oh, now it says start broadcast. Okay, now I see it. Start broadcast.
Oh, you want to make sure you're sharing the screen and not recording. Those are two different things.
Yeah,
there we
go. I see it. There we go. Okay. So what I did was, and Karen, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's happened to me so many times where you get a new person, they're so excited, they right away go and they just post a bunch of pictures of the product, and you're like, ah! And then it's their website. You're like, wait, you just turned off probably 300 of your 800 people. So one thing that I love about, and for those of you who are familiar, this is our Team Transformers Facebook group. If you can see here at the top, they have these little gray buttons. If you click on albums and scroll down to first posting ideas, I love these. And it just depends on what your personality type is. This is a great one. You never want to really post, and say Juice Plus or center.juiceplus.com. You want to build that curiosity with your first post. You don't want to be, like Jim was saying, too salesy and basically throwing up all over people. I love these ideas where you're just posting the capsules and some really cool things that they can help with. And feel free to scroll through these. These are one of my favorites, when you just post your hand with the capsules in it or the gummies in it, whatever you're having. But when you give that verbiage or when you put that message together, you want to talk about what they are without saying Juice Plus. So like this one says, when I reach for these little guys today, I realize they've been part of my life for a year now. This is probably way too old, 8 years too old. They may be small in size, but they are mighty in power, packing 30 fruits, veggies, and berries. Not only have they made me generally feel better, gain more strength, and sleep better than ever, but I haven't been sick once. Those Z-Packs are a thing of the past, and I used to take them several times a year. Hashtag thankful.
Okay,
so what I love about
Sandy,
that,
stay on that one. I want Jim to look at that because I guess
So
I don't know
goes,
how.
yeah, this goes back to, this is great information, but what do you want me to do? There is no call to action. There's nothing that tells me, as the person seeing these tablets in my hand, if you'd like to find out how you could get some of these, message me, whatever it is. So there's no call to action. So this is great
okay,
information.
so what can we add to the end of this? That's a good point.
You know,
Right, so you could even say, you know, would you like to learn how to get more fruits and veggies, or something simple? I get it, right?
Right. So
can I ask a question about
Sure.
that? So I feel like when I do that call to action, I get way less response. If I just put a post like she just did, I get so many more people. What is that? Like, it's so much more about curiosity than I feel
curiosity.
like it's,
yeah.
Yes, I feel like it's more selly if I put like, hey, let me help you. Or if you, only on the shred do I do who's in, who wants to join me, that
Right.
kind of thing. But I
I
feel
would
like
actually
if I do,
say, that's a good question, Beth. And I would actually say experiment with it. You know, if you're finding that you're having the situation where people don't seem to, you know, like it as much when you give that call to action versus when you just keep it more of like curiosity, I think that that's perfectly fine. But I would also just sometimes think about, is the post going to lead them to take action? And so I think that's a good point. But I see a lot of posts when I read it, I kind of will say at the end of it, so what? Because I don't know what you want me to do. So I like to use the so what factor sometimes. Like, okay, great. Like this is like this one here. Let's read this. Sick of suffering. Yeah. Yeah. So that, I mean, and that's good, right? It's telling them what it did. So maybe somebody with allergies, you know, might say, hey, well, tell me more about this. And they might make a comment. And of course, the other thing too is a lot of this stuff is being done on people's personal profiles. And just remember what you got to be careful with when you're doing stuff on your personal profiles, you're actually technically violating the terms of service of Facebook. So you may at some point want to even consider starting like a business page, and you could be you know, your own business. You know, it could be, you know, Jackie Ryder is a celebrity, or however, you know, I've got a page that I call Jim Fused, and I could share stuff from my business page to my personal profile. And so that's another thing just to be considered, because the other thing you have to worry about, like if everybody is copying and pasting the same exact stuff, sometimes Facebook will trigger like, okay, this is spam. So if you do get these photos, make sure you upload them as your own original content, and don't just be like, you know, copying it straight off of that. That's happened, I know, with some other companies where everybody's basically using the same exact photo, and Facebook starts to say, hey, what's this going on?
Yeah.
I think Instagram as well.
I have a quick, go ahead. I have a quick question. I put a call of action. I put, let's get, if you want to get healthy together, DM me. Is that a good one? Or because I'm bringing people in? Okay.
Yeah, you're asking, you're telling them what you want them to do. You're like, hey, you want to get healthy with me? DM me. Absolutely.
Thank you.
I wonder if for our newer people, the curiosity post for a little while is better, right? And then like Doug was saying the other day on the thing, I don't have many people, unless they're brand new to my Facebook page, that don't know I do Juice Plus, right? Because I've posted enough and I've been doing it for a long time. So I think my call to action maybe isn't as salesy if it's somebody that's brand new or hasn't been in the business as long. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, and so that's a good point. Now, I want to go back to something you brought up earlier, which was about we'll call it the events. So one of the things where I think people miss out on opportunities, and I was actually bad about this up until May, is how many of you have an email list? Right? Okay, a couple of you. Thumbs down. You're missing a great opportunity to connect with people that want your information. So if you create, as an example, the Zoom registration for an event, like say you're going to say, hey guys, I'm having this salad jar party, sign up for the Zoom. Here's what happens. One, because they're registering, they have to give up their name and their email, and they're going to do it because they want to get into the Zoom. But if they don't show up, you have their name and their email, and you can follow up with, hey Karen, I know you registered for the salad, in a jar party. Sorry you couldn't make it. Let me know if you'd like to find out the next time we have one. And if they say yes, they've just basically given, say, can I add you to my email list? And they say yes, they've just opted in. So now you can create this email list and you can start to send out information about this stuff in the future. Because what we have to remember, like even right now, we're broadcasting to rented land on Facebook. Okay, you own your email list, you own your website, you want to own your people. You don't want to rely on these platforms as your end all and be all, because if you get in trouble and that's where all the information is, guess what? Now you have no way to contact these people that used to show interest. So I think it goes, goes into a couple things. Yeah, I hope I didn't butcher your name. I use ConvertKit. They have now created a free version up to a certain number of subscribers. One of the reasons I went to ConvertKit, I used to use MailChimp and Aweber, and this is going to be, some of it be personal preference, but one of the things I learned from a guy named Pat Flynn, who's huge in affiliate marketing, is ConvertKit. If I were to get all of you on my email list, and if you're interested, go ahead and put your email in the chat. I'll add you to my weekly newsletters on digital marketing. That you all count as one subscriber, but I could have you on 10 lists. Where with MailChimp, if I took you all and put you on 10 lists, that counts as, let's say if there's 20 of us here, that counts as 200 subscribers. So what they're not telling you is one person on multiple lists counts as multiple subscribers. So now it's no longer free very quickly if you have multiple lists. And so when you do things like tagging, which is another thing I do with my emails, now I can even say, okay, they want to know about live streaming, or they want to know about my podcast, because when they click on the link where they're taking action, I will create a tag so that in the future, if I just wanted to send something out about a specific topic, I can do that. Because maybe, you got to remember at some point in the customer journey, people are going to want, don't send me the basic information if I'm already one of your customers. So you want to start to segment your list so you can set, because maybe you have people that just want to know about, like, these are great ideas about the cooking and everything else, where maybe you're like, okay, I'm going to let you know whenever we're having a cooking event, or when, because maybe they're not ready to join yet, but as they start to see all the things you can do with Juice Plus, now it's that customer journey, right? One of the things, like even with ads, what we're all doing is we're building know, like, and trust. And so what happens, and this goes back to your point about the like, even me, I'm new, I'm building awareness with my community about what I'm doing. And then as they get to know me, that's the light, okay? They're going to start to interact more. And then when they trust me, I can convert them. Too many businesses try to go straight to convert. Buy Juice Plus, it's the greatest. I don't even know what Juice Plus is, right? And it's like, so you've already scared them off, or they think that you're a salesperson. So what you end up needing to do is kind of take it step by step. So the awareness is like what, Karen shared, I just put out the picture of the shred. The shred says nothing about Juice Plus. And I talked a little bit of how it's helped me and my wife and how, you know, maybe other people are looking to feel better too. And that creates that conversation. So even tagging, if you guys know how to use, you know, tag is using the ad, and some of the people in your community that have maybe helped you also gets that their network seeing some of that stuff and will help create engagement. So by building that email list, you're giving yourself the opportunity to now have a way to follow up. And that's where I think with Zoom, by getting away from this, I'm going to advertise the Zoom ID and password, and more turning it into a registration process, you'll start to capture more leads. And so, I mean, I think it's fine for the people that are already in, but I think we also have to worry about from the Zoom bomber standpoint. If we're posting a flyer out there with the same, you know, link for, you know, the meeting and password every time, that's going to be become a challenge in the future. Oh, and I know somebody too had asked a question before we continue. If you're having issues getting a hold of, like I'm using the Logitech C920, and this is my Studio B. My Studio A is much better than this. There's actually some apps out there that you can actually, if you have an iPhone at least, you can do use your iPhone as a webcam. You just have to hardwire it with a USB cable to your computer. And so there's one called Neural Cam. There's another one called Reincubate Camo, C-A-M-O, if you look for Camo in the App Store. And then the third one is, I'll have to remember, or I'll post it in on the Facebook. I'll put links to that. But this allows you to use your iPhone, which is probably one of the best cameras available. Sorry for all you Android users, I haven't found an Android app yet. But it lets you use your front or back camera. So as long as that cord is long enough, you could even put your phone on a tripod. And it could even be used in Zoom as a virtual camera. And yeah, let me put so for those of you that had, I know Kristen, yes, I'm going to put down ConvertKit, and I'm putting this in the chat here, is the program that I use. Another thing you'll notice, I put in the chat on the Zoom, and I'll put the comment out there later. I use a program called Metricool, and I have a link hub that I put in the chat here. So even though it's like Linktree, it's a different company, and it lets me, you know, color my stuff, and I don't have to pay for it. But all these link programs, or what I like to call link hubs, you can use them on other platforms because they're a website. So instead of just having like your website and your Instagram, or if you're using Twitter, you can give people choices, right? Because it's kind of like the whole idea of the link in bio. And you could describe, like, you know, learn more about the Tower Garden. When they click that, it takes them to your Tower Garden site, you know. And so you can drive people to where you want them to go. You could even say, join my email list, book a consultation, whatever it is you want them to do with these link hubs, and use that on your Instagram. You can even make it your Facebook website. So if you're, you know, want to give people more of a visual thing to do, you could put your events out there when you've got an event coming up. And so it gives people a way to go register and do other things. So that's just something too I want to bring up. So I put that link in my in the chat here, so you guys can see, and that's how I allow people to connect with me. It's got all my places you can connect with me, instead of trying to like put 20 links. It's like, here, just go to this link and you can choose how you want to connect with me. And that's called and that's through Metricool. You look like you have a question, Karen.
So no, I have more questions for you.
Yeah.
So, or they have more questions for you. And this might be for other people to answer as well. Nicole, you crack me up. Okay, so one of my followers told me one more private message me and I'm out. Why can't you share on the post? So we were told years ago, and this is where I sometimes feel like kind of a lemming, right? Like I'm told, you know, don't put, like if you do the shred post and somebody says, hey, I'm interested, so you don't comment and say, hey, this is, you know, the shred and it's Juice Club. You don't want to go that, you go to private message. And I can see where it kind of feels like a covert operation when you keep going, if you get enough people going, I'll private message you, I'll private message you. So I had been kind of torn, and I've always been told, like, you know, if you put it out there, you know, what if somebody's had a bad experience with Juice Plus and they put something negative? But I don't know, what's everybody's, you know, anybody have any, I guess, experience or feedback or opinions on that? And Jim?
I think part of it is I could see, well, here's the other thing. Don't let the 10% naysayers drive your smart business behavior. Because I would say for the most part, do you really want to have a conversation with somebody in the comments going back and forth like, oh, well, what is this? Oh, well, it's this and this, you know, so it's like, no, that needs to be taken in a sense offline or privately, because they may start to ask some very personal questions. I mean, if a person doesn't like being private message, then, well, that's okay, right? It's, you know, you're going to have that. I think we all have those people, right? A lot of times I like to joke that the people that you don't invite to like your business is your friends and family, because they're the people that are going to end up being the most negative. They want to support you, but the reality is when they start to see you succeed, they're going to be jealous, and then they're going to try to drag you down. So, but yeah, so if you're having, you know, one person, you know, we're always going to have, as we call them, the trolls. That's okay. If you don't have haters, then you're not doing enough to succeed. Not everyone's going to like you, and you know, that's why you have a community like this where everybody supports each other and is like-minded. So I think that I would keep with the private messaging. Now, that would go where maybe you create a link, right? And you put that link maybe in the comments. Like if you want to find out more, click the link in the comments, and maybe it takes them to your email, and it's an email trigger where you send them an email that describes in more detail what it is if you don't want to have that conversation. But I think the one-on-one conversation is actually more powerful, because I think even like you've said, Karen, you know, if they message you, maybe and I think using voice messages and actually even using video messages can be very powerful. Beth has a question. See, she has her hand up.
I can add to that also with anybody that likes my page, I will private message them, and I'll tell them thank you for partnering with me. So that, you know, that's a way of a conversation. If they like a post that I post, then I'll go ahead and I'll warm message them back. I wouldn't do a cold message. I want to first tell the person, hey, thanks for partnering with me to get healthy together. And that opens the avenue that it's more a warm thing, you know, just by inviting them to be a partner right away.
Yeah. Oh, and Nicole, they wanted you, could you share the example of why they said that? I think that's a good question. Nicole?
Did she pop off? I don't see her. Hold on.
No, she's still here.
Oh no, I'm here. I was going to my Facebook. I didn't know you guys wanted it for me to talk. Hi, I'm Nicole, and so I had shared a Shred 10 post, and they have seen that when people made any kind of comments, which I did the call to action, say yes, or I want more info. I gave examples. I will respond to their message, and I say, I private message you. So this girl, who is a family member, she's my brother's wife. She was the one who started it. She goes, why can't you share it here? We all want to know about it. And so I said, I am glad it was in Spanish, the conversation. So I was telling her, I'm excited over your excitement, and I private message you. But then she didn't like that either. And she commented again. And then 3-4 other people in Spanish were like, but why can't you just come in here, share with everyone so we don't have to wait for your message? I mean, why can't you just, and I was like, oh, so yeah, that was that. So her continued with 3 other more, her first post.
That's crazy. Why are they so grumpy?
right?
They're constipated and they're not on Juice Plus.
Well, but then I spoke to my brother and he was like, and you're not the only one doing network marketing. So we're just tired of so many people, making these great posts, and then we have to go to the private message or we have to engage with them, and having that one-on-one was like, they didn't want that. They just want to know, and if they read what they like, then they will buy it from there. Like, they don't want that one-on-one feeling of whatever they feel, interaction, or however that conversation goes. That's where my mind, within the conversation, where I went. Like, they didn't want that one-on-one pressure conversation, them.
But I think it becomes tough for you to, right? It kind of goes back to get in that chat and start, because then it could just turn into, I think, a train wreck, because then you'll have people like, oh, you're just trying to, grow business through network marketing, and multi-level marketing is a, pyramid scheme, blah, blah, blah. So I think, you're just going to have to, personally, I would keep it private. I mean, I don't know if anyone else thinks differently.
I was going to add, Jim, that for Nicole, you could comment there, since they're totally trolling. That was all public, right? Was that all commented in public?
Yes.
So you could just say, like kill them with kindness, and just say, what I do, it's very personable to me, and I like to really, see the needs of my loved ones, and that's different for everybody. And so for me, I like to take this to a personal message, versus just saying what it is, because something like that, just maybe putting out the truth, the same thing. That's your heart, put it publicly out there, and then I think who from there wants an actual message to talk about it, because everyone's health needs are different.
I think that's perfect, Kelly. I think because everybody, the shred is different for everybody, right? Juice Plus is different for everybody. So you could say this is not like buying Tupperware. You know what I mean? This is not
exactly, or makeup or skincare or whatever. And not that those things are bad, but like, health is so personal.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So I tell you, I had 2 years ago, and it wasn't a family member, but she's a friend that's close, like a family member. And she got on there and she did something like that. And I went into I went into a private message with her, and I just said, look, I said, this is my business. I said, I would really appreciate it. And I kind of called her out, and she has been great ever since. So
yeah, I think Beth had a question. She has her hand up. Beth has her hand up, so I wanted to see what her question was.
Sorry, it wasn't so much on this, but it kind of is, because I feel like the same people see my post. So you know how there's that post of, I know this may not work, but if you like my blah blah blah. I think that's like a fake.
It is.
But okay, well, how do you get more? Like, I have almost 1,000 friends, right? So how am I only seeing like 50 people?
Well, there's a couple things that could be happening. One, the other thing you have to remember, this kind of goes back to engagement. Are you engaging on other people's posts that are within your network? Because I think what tends to happen is, like, the people that you're engaging with tend to be like, the algorithm says, oh, these must be the people that are really your friends. And then what you can't see, because you may not realize you've done this, and I've done this to people, I can still be your friend, but I can unfollow your post because I'm tired of seeing the garbage that some of these people post. And so they don't know that I unfollowed them. They still think we're friends. And so if they're posting things, I'm not seeing it. I mean, even my wife, I don't always see her post, and she'll like, did you see my post? I have to go look for it, right? And I'm not ignoring her posts. It's Facebook. That's why I go back to create an email list. Then you'll know who's really interested. So I think that's a good point. And I really love that whole idea too, of even potentially creating a group chat. If people really want to have a group, like, maybe you could take those 4 people, Nicole, and have a group chat from your family. It's like, okay, you guys want to have a group chat? Right? And all of a sudden, when you start asking personal questions, hey, can we make this private now? Because I do think health is definitely personal and private. And maybe that, and I love the other comment about, like, kill them with kindness, right? We all need to, like, rise up above them, and just, the trolls are going to, and if they get to be that bad, then, block them or put them on make them an acquaintance, right? Then they don't see your stuff unless you make it public. You know, there's definitely ways to keep them from seeing your post if that's a problem. Yes, that's, you know, unfortunately, you don't want your friends and family ruining your business. But I think it goes back to for those of us that are just starting out, I wouldn't jump into like using the Juice Plus name until you've built up a following in a community that's interested. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, I'm a Juice Plus person until I feel like I've built up enough following that people know that that's one of the things I do. And then that's the other reason for creating this, I think they call it, I can't remember the exact name of what I am. I think I call myself, it's not a celebrity, but it's similar to that, because I do public speaking, but I do multiple things. Yeah, I'm called that sometimes. It bugs me though. I'm an Amazon influencer, believe it or not. I'm a public figure.
How often, I know Sandy asked this question, this is great for everybody, whether you're new or have been around for a long time. How often should we post, and is there better days, times of the day? I know that sometimes I'll be like, okay, I want to put this is going to be a good post. I know it. When should I put it up? Like, you know, it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
I think it's platform specific. Personally, I would not post more than once a day on Facebook. What I would do is engage. I would engage with people in your network. If you see people talking about health and wellness, then like, oh, that sounds really cool. Because I want you to think about it. If I keep getting posts from you 5 or 6 times a day, you know, Karen posted, I'm like, unfollow. I'm tired of seeing their stuff. Now on Instagram, because it's visual, you can post all day and nobody's going to know. It's the same thing with Twitter. You know, tweets last 18 minutes and disappear. You could post the same thing 6 times a day on Twitter and nobody's going to say, well, you're tweeting that same thing over and over. They're not going to know it. But with Facebook, I say once a day, maybe like if you're adding an event, I would call that separate, but I would not go crazy posting multiple times on Facebook. I mean, even on my business page, I post maybe once a day. And it goes back to, what's your strategy? Why are you posting? Especially if it's on your because if it's on your personal profile, when they go look at your profiles, they're going to see are these posts that are about Juice Plus, and they're like, well, I'm going to stop following this person because all they're doing is using their personal profile for business.
So let me ask a more specific question, I guess. So you're saying once a day total, whether it's a picture of my kids or a picture of my dogs.
I would say once a day for Juice Plus, and if you want to post other stuff about friends and family, yeah, you could do that a couple times. But I would just tell you, I call it the psychology of the platforms. People get tired of the people that post 5 to 10 times a day on Facebook. I mean, would anybody agree with me that you're like, oh my gosh, they're posting it? Yeah, I see Nicole giving me the high 10s. Gracias. Because I mean, I hate to tell you guys this, but you know, Facebook is my least favorite platform at the moment. I spend more time on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, because there's just so much garbage on Facebook, you know, especially with everything that's going on, right? Every day we're seeing posts about politics, about COVID, about should you wear a mask, not wear a mask.
So what's the second best one? I think most of us, I know for me, I'm going to talk for me. Facebook is my main one because I'm comfortable with it. I know it. I know how to do Instagram, like just putting a photo in there. I don't know how to, I haven't gone live. What's the next best thing?
I think Instagram could be a very good platform for people in Juice Plus because it's a visual product. If you're putting pictures or even short videos of like the shakes and other things, I think that's a great way to catch people's attention, and you start using the hashtags like health and wellness and, you know, shakes or all these different things. I think it's a great opportunity there because the pictures are what catch people's attention. And they also, I think there's a younger audience on Instagram. You know, Facebook's kind of all over the place. So I think that's a good place. And then you need to start doing stories because remember, stories disappear in 24 hours. That can be a good thing if you have a bad story. And people are looking at stories. I think the Instagram lives, right? It's kind of like, you can even look at it as Instagram live as a way to kind of do things behind the scenes, right? Like, hey guys, here I am. I'm making a shake. This is what I do. If you want to learn more about my shake recipe, message me and I'll send it to you, right? And all of a sudden you may find people, like, oh wow, I didn't, because I mean, when I saw in the shred, when I saw the if you want to call it the cookbook and all the different ways to make things, I was like, wow, this is really cool. We got to try some of these things. So I think even if for those of you that are creative, I think that Instagram is a great thing. Now I'm on LinkedIn, but I use LinkedIn as it's a B2B platform, and I'm in business. I've debated, like, maybe once in a while, maybe I'll throw something in there about the shred, but then it's kind of out of character for what people see me as on LinkedIn. But on Twitter, I could see doing videos you can do videos on Twitter as well. Yeah, see, Heather said something about, yeah, best for me, then it put, yeah. And that's another good point, Heather. I think looking at the times that you post, it's okay to change it up. Find out when, because you may find, like, as an example, even with the Amazon live show that we've done a couple episodes, we're going in the evenings. Why? Because that's when we think more people are likely to shop on Amazon. People aren't going to shop at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, or they shouldn't be, right? Unless you're a shopaholic. So we're going to do our videos in the early evenings, because we also want to catch people on the West Coast, post dinner, and we promote that. So even if you say you're going to talk about something, like, you could even say, hey guys, join me live tonight at 7 when I'm going to talk about X. Make that your post and then go live at 7, right? Give them that anticipation. Even I would say go live once a week, even if it's for only 2 or 3 minutes, right? And just maybe every Friday, like, hey guys, checking in before the weekend, what's your plans? I learned about this great new shake that I could make this week, and, just share something that lets people get to know you better, because this is all about the human to human connection. They want to know about you. You're what's going to drive them to want to do these other things. I see Janie has her hand up. What's your question, Janie?
Hi, thanks for this. This is incredible. But my question is a little different. They kind of touched on it briefly a bit ago, but I've been doing Just Plus for a while, and I had to take a hiatus for a few years due to some post-concussive medical complications with my son. And I've gotten back into it. I'm somewhat new to Facebook, maybe like 2-3 years. And so I've been slowly growing, that. But I have honestly not posted about Juice Plus on Facebook because I just didn't want to be that salesy person. I wanted to do it right. And I've just struggled with, okay, I've done this for a while, but not everybody knows I do it. And I'm not sure what to post out there. So I appreciate them talking about brand new people, which is great. And I would be to some people, but any suggestions on?
Yeah, so I look at everything, like, even with a business, you got to have a strategy. So if every Monday you're going to post something motivational, Tuesday you're going to post a tip, Wednesday, maybe you're going to, post something about a product you use or a company that you support. So what I would say if you're looking at this on your personal profile, maybe once a week, you don't have to be talking about Juice Plus every day. But once a week, maybe it's on Fridays, call it Fitness Friday. You post something where you're talking about health, or like you'll see sometimes, and I had a coach that kind of even told me I should do this. Like, if maybe once a week, I make a post on my personal Facebook, like, what's your favorite kind of, health shake, and see if you get comments, right? Now you can have a conversation with people. Just use like the green, or how they have the ability, you can like make these colored posts and it catches people's attention. So ask questions and that maybe would relate to people starting to have a conversation about Juice Plus. But don't feel, Janie, like you've got to do this every day. I think once or twice a week about Juice Plus is fine. And if you can be consistent, you will then maybe start to find that people will start to check out your profile on that day because they start to expect it. Consistency is very, I think, important in general in whatever way, shape, or form you're going to do it. I mean, we got to 100 episodes 1 week at a time. And, you know, so it's something that, but now people know, like, okay, every Wednesday I can watch Jim live at 12 o'clock. And, you know, they're not all going to show up live. They're going to watch the replay. So if you're doing videos, don't get upset if only 5 people show up. Watch how many people are watching overall, because you will find that'll happen as well.
Okay. I was just thinking I should do like some sort of an introductory kind of thing. So I've been kind of working on kind of craft something that I can put out there. I just thought it would be wise to have some sort of an introductory thing, you know, about how my life has been blessed by some changes I've been making through the gift of a friend, and, you know, so on. So I don't know.
No, and I used to do Optavia, and when I first did it, I lost 20 pounds in 6 weeks, and doing a before and after picture, right? I had all kinds of people commenting. So I think when you can kind of use that proof of what it's done for you, it definitely resonates with people. I'm not sure what your name is because you have a bunch of names, but S.A. Havel Ferguson Daves, I probably messed that up. How much is too much? I think it partially is platform dependent, but I would just tell you, especially with Facebook, you know, I think you're going to see, if you're not, here's the other thing, if you're not getting a lot of reactions to your post, you need to really take a look at your posting strategy. Because if people are not reacting, let alone commenting, you're not catching their attention. They're like, I'm tired of looking at their profile, because, you know, you're really looking for engagement. And so part of growing engagement as well is, right, like if everybody is following each other, you know, we should be supporting each other even by commenting on each other's post or liking it or sharing it if it's something that resonates with us. But don't feel like you've always got to be the one that's putting that stuff out there. I've seen, you know, that I've started to connect with some of you guys, and you guys do some great stuff. And so it's even just as helpful and supportive in the algorithm if we are, you know, commenting on other people's posts. Facebook's like, oh, it's like this whole community thing. Oh, people like this post, we're going to let more people see it. But if you're not getting any comments on there, it's just going to be kind of like, oh, it's just another post. So hopefully that helps.
Isn't it helpful too if we support each other? And so, like, if I see that Melanie posted something, I mean, I want to support her, so I like comment on her. Isn't that helpful too?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Heather, as far as post length on Facebook, I would keep it, I mean, I don't know if there's a character amount, but when people have to go to more, a lot of times on Facebook, they're not going to go to more. So don't write a book on Facebook, create a blog post on a website. Instagram, you know, and it kind of goes back to, I think with all of them, start out with why, like as an example, why would Kristen want to read this post? What is that first line or two that's going to catch my attention to want to read more? So, you know, it kind of goes back to, you know, are you struggling with your energy levels? Would you like to learn how you can, you know, get your energy back without having to be on, you know, drinking coffee all day? Yeah, tell me more, right? And then you write that short blurb, and then the graphic or video that goes along with it is really what's going to catch people's attention. You've got to use graphics, you've got to use video. I would try to go towards video as much as you can, even if it's recorded, because that's, you know, and everybody, I mean, I use Canva times, but like after a while, everybody's photos look the same. So the more you can make it about you and have you tied in with it, or you and your friends, or as we like to call it, user generated content, the more successful I think your post will be.
I love all that information. I forget who said it the other day, but it's so true. I noticed that when I put a picture of us or my kids or something on there, it gets more reaction than just, you know, even the stock photo or whatever. Well, I mean, it's 1 o'clock. I think we could go until probably 4 o'clock asking poor Jim.
Well, I mean, I'd be happy to do this again sometime if you want. Just let me know. I love talking. I could talk about social media all day long. That's
right. And you do. Yeah, so I love this. Oh my gosh. So let your team know that, you know, this recorded to, you know, Team Transformers. If anybody, I took a bunch of notes, but it can always obviously be revisited back there again. So thank you guys so much for coming on today. It was so great having all the questions and interaction, and have a good Friday.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Yep. Bye-bye.
No lunch and learn tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Jim, for answering.
Don't forget
all the
to stop the live. Let's see.
Oh, yeah. Stop recording.